Most people believe power comes from speaking first, speaking loud, or speaking often, because silence feels like absence rather than control. That belief is not confidence, but conditioning, shaped by a nervous system that equates visibility with safety and attention with survival. From childhood, you were taught that unanswered moments are dangerous, that pauses mean rejection, and that stillness must be filled quickly. The body reacts before the mind, tightening the chest, speeding the breath, and pushing words outward to escape uncertainty. This reflex reveals a quiet weakness, because anyone who cannot endure silence cannot truly control an interaction. Power does not rush to explain itself, because explanation is a form of surrender to another person's expectations. Beneath polite conversation and social rituals, human interaction is governed by dominant signals that rarely use words. The most influential individuals understand that emotional control communicates authority more clearly than volume or aggression ever could. Silence, when deliberate, is not emptiness, but pressure applied invisibly to the psychological space between two people. When you do not react immediately, the other person is forced to confront their own thoughts without guidance or reassurance. The mind hates unresolved gaps, and it will work relentlessly to close them, often at its own expense. In that gap, uncertainty grows, and uncertainty weakens the person who needs answers more than the one who withholds them. Silence disrupts the expected rhythm of interaction, signaling that you are not operating on the same emotional frequency as everyone else. This disruption creates a subtle imbalance, because the one who waits appears grounded, while the one who speaks appears reactive. Reactive behavior exposes need, and need is always sensed, even when it is denied. The calm refusal to fill space suggests self-sufficiency, and self-sufficiency is often mistaken for authority. People comply not because they are commanded, but because they feel the discomfort of imbalance and want it resolved. When you remain still, others begin to explain themselves, justify their position, or seek validation without being asked. They speak more, reveal more, and unconsciously lower their own status in the exchange. Silence turns attention inward, forcing the other person to confront their assumptions and insecurities alone. This is why interrogators, negotiators, and strategists value pauses more than persuasion. Words can be argued with, but silence offers nothing to resist. The absence of reaction removes emotional feedback, leaving the other person unsure whether they are succeeding or failing. Humans are deeply uncomfortable without emotional signals, because those signals once determined acceptance or exile. When silence replaces feedback, the mind often interprets it as judgment, even when none is given. That perceived judgment triggers compliance, as people attempt to regain approval through explanation or concession. This mechanism operates below conscious awareness, making silence feel strangely powerful and unsettling. Those who understand this do not rush to assert dominance, because dominance is felt before it is declared. Manipulators observe first, speaking only when it benefits them, never when it benefits the room. They know that the person who controls the pace controls the outcome. Most people surrender control by oversharing, over-explaining, and overreacting to preserve comfort. Silence removes comfort, and in doing so, reveals who depends on it. The disciplined use of non-reaction signals that you are not emotionally dependent on the interaction's result. Emotional independence is interpreted as confidence, even when nothing has been said. This is not intimidation through threat, but influence through perceived self-mastery. When you pause calmly, you imply that you have time, options, and internal stability. The other person, sensing this asymmetry, often adjusts their behavior to match yours. They soften their tone, clarify their intentions, or attempt to please without realizing why. Silence reframes the interaction by shifting focus from your response to their performance. In that moment, you are no longer seeking approval, and they are. True dominance is rarely aggressive, because aggression exposes emotional volatility. Silence, by contrast, communicates restraint and restraint is often mistaken for strength. This effect only works when silence is intentional, not when it is fueled by fear or avoidance. Fear-based silence feels tense and collapses under pressure, revealing insecurity rather than control. Controlled silence feels relaxed, grounded, and emotionally sealed. The difference is internal, rooted in your relationship with discomfort and uncertainty. Those who master silence have made peace with not being immediately understood. They do not rush to correct perceptions because they are not ruled by them. This internal sovereignty is what gives silence its weight. Without self-mastery, silence is empty, but with it, silence becomes a signal. The signal says that you are observing rather than reacting. It says that you are not seeking permission to exist in the moment. Most people unconsciously submit to those who appear internally settled. Submission often looks like politeness, compliance, or explanation, but it begins with perception. Silence shapes perception by denying emotional access. Denied access forces projection, and projection reveals more than any question ever could. This is why silence is often described as unsettling rather than peaceful. It confronts people with themselves, and many rush to escape that confrontation. Used responsibly, silence is not cruelty, but clarity. It allows interactions to unfold without force, manipulation, or unnecessary conflict. It also demands accountability, because you can no longer hide behind noise. Those who rely on chaos and emotional provocation find silence particularly threatening. It exposes their lack of control by refusing to engage on their terms. Over time, this practice reshapes your internal posture. You stop chasing responses and start allowing reactions to come to you. The need to be heard fades, replaced by the ability to observe without attachment. This shift does not make you kinder or harsher, only clearer. Clarity often feels cold to those who depend on emotional leverage. Silence is not about domination over others, but dominion over yourself. Once that dominion is established, obedience from others becomes a byproduct rather than an objective.